Thank you, Nathanja, for agreeing to step out and come and talk to us today, the Wisdom Quest members and anybody else who's going to find this insightful and interesting and empowering. I think at the end of the day, Andrea and I have been talking a lot about community. Why it's so important, because we all have these pearls of wisdom that we can share with others. And that's what we have to do. We've got to start working together to uplift the whole of humanity. We can't do this alone on our own. So thank you so much for agreeing to do this with me today. I really appreciate it.
Yes, I also appreciate it to be able to be in contact with you. And it's still a small group, but we are now. But it feels so familiar and
Fantastic.
yes.
Personal, and that's what we want. We want that feeling of sacredness. But thank you again. And I just want to say to anybody who might listen to this, possibly in the YouTube or on the membership, that obviously we're going to put out our disclaimer. We're not giving people, lifestyle advice or psychological advice or medical advice. Please, if you're listening to this, use your discretion, listen with your discretion. And yeah, that's that out there. So
Mm.
thank you, Nathania. Um, I feel the subject that you wanted to bring forward today, and which I actually have been so interested in for so long. And I was so excited when you sent me the message and opened up about what you do in your life. And I thought, wow, this woman is incredible. So authentic and in her power. And I love this. This is amazing. And I could learn from this. So immediately I thought, no, I have to talk with you. Let's talk. Let's share. Let's gather around the fire and share our wisdom. And so this is our little virtual fire and we're sharing. So could you just introduce yourself to anyone listening, a little bit about your background and how you got to where you have got to today with what you're doing for your life?
Okay. Completely uncensored.
Absolutely.
Yes. Um, so yes, I was grown up in a very strict Christian church-like, not only church, but also a living community, living and working. They called it like a kibbutz, like in Israel. And because it was families and singles and businesses, self-sustainable, and it was the vision of my father to have this little village based on Bible, Christian and Jewish roots, and so it had a lot of beautiful energy, but also restrictions because as I see it now, it was, I take the good things with me, but it's only 10 years ago, and I'm 51 now, so it was around my 40th, after my father died, that I left this community. It fell down because he was the dominant factor, had been all his life, and after it fell apart. And I was very loyal also to his heritage, but in the end I decided to have my own liberation. Or yes, there's more. I felt there's more in life than inside these boundaries, and I took the good things with me and went into the world, and it led to a divorce. I had a family with my husband. We have still, of course, 6 children. They were in their teenage years that time. 3 of them were already in 20s and on studies, and 3 at home. And the divorce was at that time that I went out of the family house. I went to the major city where I worked. And I worked in a massage salon because I had chosen to have a course in Ayurvedic massage. And via left and right, I heard about a position in erotic massage salon, and I was curious because I was discovering the world outside of the Christianity church walls. And so this was the opposite, maybe, but it was joy for me. It was freedom, and it's the owner of the salon I got in contact with. I had directly a very good click or match. How do you
Yeah.
say?
Like a
And
strong connection?
it's 7 years ago, 8 years ago now, and I feel him like my soul mate, twin soul even. We found each other also from Christian background. He had followed his heart and felt so many people or men have longed for skin contact, for massage, for when they're lonely or there is no intimacy at home. They long to feel a woman, to feel a body, to feel warmth, softness, and intimacy and sexuality and a sexual energy that it's allowed. And we are all, our culture in Northern Europe is so strict and anti-body, anti-sexuality, anti-nature, anti-earth. You see what we do with the world, with earth, and with our bodies. We all burn it up ourselves and the world, the earth, nature. So this is the grand scheme of things that I'm discovering and studying all my life. On one side, other side, and in between. So that's why I got to work there and discovering my freedom, my boundaries. And I did it for 3 years. And after that, my body said, stop. You have, and I didn't know why, because I did it with heart and soul. I have good relationship with clients, with colleagues, and with the owner, and no problem. But so I learned to listen. What's the matter with my eye close? And then I discovered, oh, I want to go deeper. I want to do a coach course and sexual healing and coaching, I found. And it's all about these things. And so I'm now busy with starting up my practice, and I'm starting with other women to have women's circles in our region. But recently, 2 months ago, I went back to the massage salon to also again work there, because I need a lot of movement for myself, and sitting and talking is not good for me. I always want to and need to move, and it makes you strong and supple. Supple.
Yes. Mobile as well. It's very good for mobility and flexibility. And
So it's I'm back again, and it's nice to meet clients from 3 years ago. And how are you? And how are you? And so that's where I am in the headlines.
okay, wow, that's just such an amazing journey. And I really applaud you for just stepping into what you felt you needed beyond the boundaries. You know,
Mm,
as you say, a lot of beauty came with your childhood upbringing, and some of the principles, I suppose, have followed you through. But at the end of the day, you realized that there was something in your life that just felt like it was missing. And so you went out and sort of embraced it, which
yeah,
takes courage.
yeah, yeah. Yes, I think this is my script. I believe in that everybody who is incarnating again in this planet or whatever planet, you have a plan, you have a mission, you have a script, and you can wander around and you can lose track and you can come back and whatever. And don't do things and then you die, you have to go again. Okay? But I want to do it all.
Exactly. Live, really
Yeah.
live. Nathanja, I think for me, a really important thing, and I don't know with you, with 6 children, I suppose this must have come up for you, in that, when we were raised at school, and I don't know about your upbringing, but when I went to school, I went to like a government school in South Africa. And when we learnt about sex biology, we learnt about biology, function, how it functions, how everything kind of works, what your period is. And I remember, the kids kind of like giggling. We were probably about, I don't know, 15 or something at the time when we were taught this. But there was obviously a lot of curiosity amongst the children, but there was absolutely no education around sensual or sexual wisdom at all. And so, what this leads to, I feel personally, is that we grow up with people we can't really talk to, um, or people who have already come from a trauma background and they don't even know how to deal with this, so they wouldn't even know how to talk to you anyway. And so you kind of grow up in your life going through just sort of like wading your way through this quagmire of like confusion
Mm.
and misinformation and a little bit of dread, actually, because at school we were taught, well, if you have sex, you're either going to get sexual diseases or you're going to fall pregnant and that's going to ruin your life forever, you know? And so it's like, no wonder we grow up with this like absolute misconception
Mm,
about
mm,
sexuality and sensuality. And I feel there's a huge gap
mm.
for so many people to better understand themselves, to come to themselves and their body temple from a place of wisdom and understanding and love. Have you found any of this in your journey with regards to your sexual healing journey?
Yes, it was so negative about sexuality. It was extreme in my case because my this community was kind of like a sect. My father was convinced, based on the Bible, that Jesus would return because it was 2,000 years later after his first coming on earth, and he would return. And this is also true in astrology now. There is this second coming of Christ. This is Christ consciousness. So
Mm.
depends on how you interpret. And
Yes.
so I was brought up in there were families, but we as children and teenagers were told it's over. There's the heaven and earth will be one, so there's no sexuality needed, and no children anymore because we are going to live forever. Heaven and earth will come, something like that. So it was as if it not existed, and when it existed, it was low. It was earthly, and you were not focused on having heaven and the kingdom of Christ that would come when you were in your body, even or feeling sexuality. It was wrong. So this is extreme, and later on he discovered, oh, it is 2000, it's 2005, it's 2010, and he discovered he was so dominant. I talking about he um he made our belief. um Oh, and he saw people starting to really love each other, young people. And he thought, oh, it's good. Let them marry and let them have children. And those children are needed for the new world because he was growing older. So he needed the next generation. So it came.
Yes. And how do you communicate with your children about
So
this
I,
subject of sexual wisdom, really,
yeah.
and sensual wisdom?
So this story was about telling you that I was not educated in a normal way. Totally not. Also not normal. What is also negative for everyone in Western or religious way. Uh, so I intuitively, I was very intuitive as being a mother because I had no mother. My mother was kicked out when I was 11, so I had no mother, and so I had to base myself on my intuition. And I decided I was studying. I studying business management, and I quit when I was pregnant. I had no energy in my head, and it was going into my body. And it was allowed for pregnancy. It was allowed for the next generation, also for these goals for God, for Jesus, for the kingdom, for the new world. And so this was allowed, but there I could find my body to be pregnant and to give birth and to nourish my children. Whereas my mother was not allowed to caress us because my father said, "You, how do you call it in English? Um, you, you foster self-love," and it was a dirty word.
Wow. Oh my
Words
goodness.
love and life and healthy for us now. They were the dirty words. It was wrong. So I've put my whole conditioning upside down. I think it was wrong, and I corrected it. So
Okay.
and what I did was intuitively, and I try to be open, but I now think my children will do such a better job, and I am very positive because I see in the whole new generation, and where I look, you can always look at evil things, but I don't listen to the news. I only see good news in the world.
I'm the same.
Yeah, and I see children, and I see what they have and their self-esteem. But also, it was needed that I did divorce, because to choose for yourself, very dirty words, but I was getting it right, and it was heavy for me because there was such things of shame and guilt. But I choose to follow my intuition, my belly, my womb wisdom, and so I didn't raise them perfectly because it was half my intuition and still a lot of conditioning, and my relationship was not that good. So, but now I live on my own. Several relationships coming or going, and steady ones. But my children can now see how I live, and I know they will they are free. They are so much more free be to be in their body and to live and to have sexuality in every however they want. And so I think it's the time is healing us.
It
The
is.
frequency.
There definitely seems to feel like there's so much more freedom
Yeah.
on so many levels that people are just so much more comfortable in their bodies. However, at the same time, I think there's a lot of people also struggling with old stuff,
Ah,
and probably people more around about like our age. Do you know what I mean? Because
yeah.
we've kind of like brought a lot of old stuff with us, and not everybody knows how to clear that. They don't know, like, how do I let go of these self-limiting beliefs, or how do I let go of this outdated um, belief that I have regarding my body or what I need sexually or whatever it may be. So, do you have any insights there that you can share with people with regards to that?
Yeah, it's so just choose what makes you happy. Just choose what attracts you, and just try to get rid of all the um, how do you say, a judgment. It's important to be aware of them and to reassure them. There is this judgment, and it is warning you, oh, don't do bad things. But you can say, okay, I understand, to those voices. I understand that you believe this. It's told to you. It was told to our parents and their parents. It's from centuries, even longer. And then, so not judge the judgment, but reassure the judgment. Just say, I understand that it was told to you and that you try to warn me. You try to protect me. It's like you can say the ego is push it away. No, you have to reassure and give comfort to the ego. So the anxiousness is floating away, and that you can relax and be with breathing, just feeling. It's a long process, and every time again, and it's spiraling deeper and deeper, at the same time higher and higher in consciousness, and also in the body. It's the same, up and down and again in every breath. And yeah, just feel. And of course, these voices are there still. The word feel, there's trigger, feel. Feeling even was the wrong word. So, but practice, give it time. All those words that were wrong, maybe just discover if they are all just right, because they were wrong. because there was a system of oppression and there was a system of not being happy. So we need doctors and pills and pharmaceuticals, and we need armies, and we need governments. So this was logical. When you have a business of being the boss and having weapons and having chemicals and having pharmaceuticals, then you tell anybody that they need it and that they have problems and they are not safe and they are not happy. So they need to buy your stuff. So it's logical. But when you see this, you can stop with this, joining this system. Just come to a standstill, and you discovered it. It's coming to a standstill. You lose your job, or you could burn out. I was in a burnout. I was totally exhausted by giving my children and my husband everything, and the community everything. I was expected. I was totally exhausted. So I had to make this shift because
Mm.
there was no choice. So
Yeah,
anybody brought to a point that it does not work anymore, and then you can look around for alternative way of living, and it's the opposite of what you did, because otherwise there will be no change.
exactly. I think for many people, they're taken to that place of extreme discomfort to finally go, hold on a second, there's got to be another way. I can't carry on like this. If I do, it's gonna, I'm gonna kill myself because
Yeah,
nothing outside of you is gonna kill you. You actually just gonna kill yourself because of your own limiting beliefs and your own shit that you're putting on yourself, really, at the end of the day. So it's so powerful to go to that still place. And like you say, just to turn those things around, those words around. And if you feel that trigger happening, like you've just said, feeling, you can feel it in your body,
yeah,
then
and breathe.
stop,
So
breathe, and explore that and try to understand where the heck is this coming from
yeah,
and get a bit of clarity with regards to that. And then start looking to explore that, even, just open it up, put it out there,
yeah,
you know.
and try. I did, maybe no, I did that things where I believed that it was a sin to even think about or look to other men. And my children, when I received my children, one by one, I saw they are not sinful, they are not wrong. So by receiving children, I grew out of this system, because my father succeeded in making me believe that I'm wrong. But there was still something in me. There was this fire, and I was rebellious. But it was hidden,
Mm,
um, because there were many repercussions when you did that or
yeah.
spoke out.
When you stood in your knowing, basically, I call that your knowing,
Yeah,
your knowing. You just know. And you don't have to try and explain it to anybody or like, it's your knowing and your will. There's another good one, will. It's your
yeah.
will. So,
But
and it's powerful.
I know that he could humiliate me in front of 500 people. So it was that was toll.
Very difficult. Yeah.
But I survived until he died, and then
Gee.
my life began. Be,
Yeah.
uh,
Wow.
and I have learned a lot in this first 40 years,
Exactly.
and experienced it all. And now I can turn everything around, or in a good shape. And
Exactly.
but because of my children, I couldn't find any sin or wrongness in them. So therefore I followed them, and when they were teenagers, I wanted to have my first puberty time, and so I was going to everything, like swingers clubs, and I wanted to be free, to free myself. I did it just because
Yeah.
I felt I needed
Yeah.
to liberate myself, and first with my husband, but it was too much for him. So we had to liberate each ourselves from each other, and each other from ourselves, to be free and explore. And now he's also doing liberation, but on his own way. So
Yeah.
we go our own way, and it's good. And now there was 7 difficult years or 6, but now we can meet each other at birthdays, and it's okay. And the children, some were angry about the divorce, some were happy, and now everyone is okay.
Yeah. And Nathanja, can I ask if you have felt, I mean, I can see it and I can feel it, but I'm just sort of asking the question that this liberation that you've created for yourself, that it's brought you to a greater understanding of who you are spiritually, and it brings you more into your purpose and your vision, because you mentioned to me that you were wanting to open Tantra Healing Centres all around the world, which I love. That's fantastic. So, do you feel that this healing, this self-healing that you've done on yourself has just taken you to a new space within yourself spiritually?
Yeah. Yes, discovering you have to remove all the sand upon you. You are buried, in fact, under the soil. There's nothing that can flourish. And they're so coming up again and flourish. And yeah, there is, yeah, I have many visions and plans. And now starting this next week with women's circles, I joined them. I joined things, retreats, workshops, women's circles, and so on, tantric trainings. And I always do a little bit of this, this, and a little bit of that, and I learn. I read something, but not a lot. What's brought to me, I read a book or an article, and then trust that it's in me. It's
Yes,
remember. It's
exactly.
um, everything that's in me, and then I see a vision of me as the high priestess of Atlantis. I'm sorry,
I love
it's.
that.
I
Don't say
see
sorry. Take
just
that back.
what
Don't apologize. You are the high priestess right
myself
now.
on these hills, these mountains, just move. I will always have to move. Just moving and breathing between the cosmos and the earth, and bringing down and bringing back everything for whole world, or this region of the world where I was. And I was on Iona. You mentioned it also in the wisdom quest. I was called to it. There was a book from a Dutch writer about Mary Magdalene, and Mary Magdalene was uh, in England, going to France and England on her own this time. She was there before with Jesus. There are different channelings and messages, but they traveled a lot
Mm,
together. She and with him in his light body, and but
absolutely.
being in Iona for together or alone. And but she was there was written in the book that she was in England, and they told her about an island, and there was this trembling in me of excitement. What? And I wanted to read quicker, and there was Iona, and it was there directly resonating with me, and
Wow.
her journey to there, and her staying there, and what there was. Oh, it was so great, and I knew I have to go there. So Google it and find a retreat, women's retreat to Iona, and I got there, and it was so magical, and
Amazing.
I
Amazing. Because that's the ultimate, where Mary Magdalene gave birth to John Martinez, Yeshua, Mary's son. And I think they did have other children. I don't know all the ins and outs, but at the end of the day, it's a very sacred isle. And in some of the light travels that Andrew's had, they called it Luma. Before it was called Iona.
yeah,
And I just love that because that just means light, really. It was the island of light. And so that's where the priestesses came through Luma and then
yeah,
went to where they needed to go in the world. So I think people that are resonating strongly with Iona have that memory, the memory
yeah,
of that exact thing. And I think that's what you were having, what you were experiencing there, which is so exciting and beautiful. Anyway, we've got about 10 minutes left, but I have to ask you a little bit more about Tantra itself. Can you explain it to me? I mean, I don't know anything about this, to be honest. So I would love your sort of, I know it's a huge topic. If you could just, in a nutshell, give it to me in terms of what is Tantra really? At the end of the day,
Mhm.
and how can it help us with sexual healing?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, Tantra is a word that means in Sanskrit a weaving device. A loom in English, I looked it up. And it's, you can also say matrices or dimensions in several dimensions. It's the grand scheme of things. It's everything. Tantra is life, is creation source, creation force, creation. This three, and it's everything. What's happening, and it's also and like breathing. Breathe in and breathe out. There are these incarnation cycles or creation cycles of creating even material things from source, from energy to create matter. And then matter rediscovers the spirit and it's breathing in and out. And we are on the second incarnation cycle on earth, they say. And it's also descending and ascending. We are now ascending again. Thank God, thank ourselves, thank the creator. We were lost and go back. That's the game. It's a game about hide and seek, lose everything and find it back. So this is also, and it's about spiritual wisdom. And I asked ChatGPT. It's lazy. You can have a quick answer, and there's nothing, not the word sex in it, but it's about spirit and creation and everything. But sexual energy is creation energy. So
Exactly.
sexual is everything. Sex, an act of sexual sex, making children or not, that's something. But sexual energy is creation, and creation is one source, but it divides into two. You can have bacteria, they split and clone themselves. That's not so fun. It's more fun when you create two different puppets. They have to find each other, and you can be busy your whole life with interaction with the opposite sex. It's like sun and earth. What is sun without earth? Then it's just one of the billion stars. What is earth without sun? It will be cold and dead. So
Exactly.
aim of everything, and also masculine and feminine energies in yourself with others. So that
I love that. That's beautiful. Thank you just for explaining that to me in such a beautiful way. And I see that you've been a part of Andrew's travels recently because I was wondering what he was on about. Thank you for keeping me awake at like 3 o'clock in the morning for the last week. I think it's you, Nathanja. I think it's been a little bit of your influence because
oh.
he has been talking about movement the whole week. And here's you, and it's all about movement. And he was saying in his travel that nothing happens without movement. Even the grass cannot grow without movement.
Yeah, they grow like this.
Exactly. And so I'm like, what is it? I love, yes, I understand about movement, but I was like, where is he going with this? What's going on here now with the movement thing? And now I see it's
Yeah.
connecting to what you're saying. It's about the tantra, the flow, the weaving, as you say, the energy. And so, lastly, do you have any final thoughts as we tying up this for anybody who is wanting to bring themselves to a higher state of awareness in terms of their own um, sensuality or sensual understanding of themselves. If they're coming from a space of um, not really feeling very comfortable with themselves, and I come from that space. I mean, I was very uncomfortable with myself for a long time, and you said you
Of
did
course.
too. I think there's thousands of people that do. And then Inanna came along and oh my God, like I had to like seriously like, change my outlook on things. And there are archangels dedicated to this. I didn't realize that before. And they've been doing work with me as well. And a lot of it's connected to the orange light. the color orange. Okay.
It's the
And it's,
face. Your
sorry,
belly chakras is orange, is your womb. It's yellow.
exactly, your creative life
Yeah.
force. Exactly.
Oh,
So the orange light is so connected to that creative spark and that energy.
yeah.
And so they were really, they had their work cut out for them when they were dealing with me because I had so much resistance in this area. So
Mm.
I'm wondering if you have any last words that you have for people who are also walking this journey.
Mm. First thing that comes up for me is be assured that you're alone at home, and turn the music on loud and move. And
Move.
go, stamp on the floor and feel your root chakra, your first and second. This is the root is the first, and the second is your womb, wisdom. Everything is in our cells, everything is in the womb. The womb is the portal of life from heaven to earth and back. So try to connect with that. And there are workshops maybe around you for Tantra or just women's circles. Really unite with women, talk, share, move together, embrace, hug, touch yourself, each other. First with your own sex,
Mm.
men together, women together, and heal in yourself. And then also reconnection, but heal in yourself. I am a woman. I'm a womb man. I'm the goddess. I'm the mother of everything, of all gods. The XX is the default. XY, genetically, is a specialization. It's a man. It's extra strong. But the completeness is in the woman. We have to retrieve this to be complete in ourselves. We have masculine and feminine energy also complete in our,
Absolutely. Yes.
and also so music, dance, and movement, and reunite with other women.
Fantastic. And for men, I know that was a little bit more focused on women. And for men, what would you recommend? What are your main tips that you've seen in terms of your experience with men and where they're mostly coming from and what they could do to help themselves?
The same.
Okay.
Move another way. We have sensual yoga is spreading around the world now. It's for women, but there's yoga for centuries and millennia for men. But there's now also for women sensual yoga. Look it up, and this is with round forms. And men can work with yoga and exercise to be masculine again, not be ashamed of to be a man, because there is guilt and shame. So retrieve your masculinity and reunite with other men.
I
The
love
same.
that. I love that. Thank you, Nathanja. I so appreciate you just sharing from your heart space here today. It's been wonderful. I love your wisdom and I love your openness. It's just fantastic and so empowering, insightful, and I'm sure many other people will enjoy learning from you as well.
Okay, thank you.